Hey everybody, welcome back to Skygrid with Boomer. I got to tell you, I'm really excited now because I've been getting focused back in on the build. You see, when we reset this map back in November, we reset November 22nd. Today's February 16th, so it's been almost 3 months now. We got about, meaning myself and about 15 other people, staff and helpers, 15, 20 people. About 36 hours before the server went live, we were asked to go in and start testing stuff and see what was going to happen. We actually got about a week ahead of time to start looking at the blocks and the generation, and then we started to get to look at the plugins. And so a lot of my plans for my personal base got thrown out the window because we didn't know about Slimefun, we didn't know about items adder, we didn't know about a lot of things that were being done. And while I had ideas, and a lot of times I know people do this, you really don't know what the server is going to produce until it goes live. And so when Fan released the server, we had all these new things, and it kind of threw a lot of my plans for a whirl, and a lot of it to the very positive. See, Slimefun, one of the things about Slimefun, I hate modded. I really do. I'm sorry, guys. I've never been a modded fan. I've been a pure vanillist, but I'm starting to open up and warm up to it. I tried Sky Factory. I hated it. I hated it with a passion. Not that it was bad. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the grind. I didn't like the lack of documentation and explanation. And a lot of people, you might be saying, Sky Factory is full of documentation. Well, it is, but it doesn't give you a lot of information. It leaves you too much to have to try to sort out. Slimefun, I think, bridged that gap a little bit better. I think they did a nice job initially. The Busy Biscuit, I believe, was the guy who created this. He has since turned over control of this project to open source type people who are trying to evolve it and move it. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of bad code in the program. And this is not to knock them, but a lot of the code itself is poorly written, not structured, and not working. We have about 30 bugs that we've identified that we've asked for repair, fix, addressing, and we're not getting a lot of support or help or really anyone who gives a damn about it. And so, unfortunately, that's where we're at. And if they would, this would be a great thing. We have things that happen every single day that you can count on within almost a minute when they start changing. And like I said, we've been told, oh, too bad, so sad, goodbye. So it is what it is. So we're working on ways around it. One of the things that I've been working on to try to help with my base and the plans that I wanted to get back to building on and really focusing on is we're not going to talk so much about Slimefun, but everything we're doing is geared toward the Slimefun. For example, the ore grinder is broken. Everybody knows about it. It's a laughing joke on a server. You start off when the server resets every morning. The ore grinder will give you 4 bone meal for every bone, even though vanilla is 3. About 7 o'clock in the morning Central Time, it flips over to 2, and about a half an hour later, it flips over to 1. And it stays at 1 all day long until the server resets in the morning again. Excuse me. Once in a great while, it'll make it 4. We'll make it till about 10 or 11. So every morning when I first get up in the morning, I log on real quick, and I start all of my ore grinders to get as much bone meal as I can. And then by about, a couple hours into the day, I know it's back to 1. I go back and look, and as soon as it's back to 1, I shut them all down. And then I'll let that run, and it usually fills up everything I need. So the farms that we've been making have been working towards using the vanilla characteristics and traits of Minecraft, the composter, to make more bone meal. Now you say, is that going to produce a whole lot of bone meal? Well, I think it can, because I'm going to have multiple composters running. By the time I'm done, I'm probably going to have about 48 composters running every time I'm on a server through a lot of farms. We've already started this process, and we talked about it. Directly behind me right now is a pumpkin farm with 350 pumpkins in there roughly. Over here so far is the melon farm with about 350 pumpkins. We're going to expand on that, like I said, as I get all the farms built around this tower and I see how the FPS in the server, if it's not killing any lag or my FPS, we're going to keep building these towers up higher and higher. What you're seeing behind me now is the first of the sugarcane towers. There's 9 layers in there at 40 sugarcane per layer, so there's 360. And to keep the FPS lag and the server lag down, I've completely encased it. So there's no lighting updates. And there's only 3 hoppers in that entire thing picking up product. So there's no lag being created for the server. This is a smart way to build farms. You don't create server lag, you don't create FPS lag, and they're all observer-based sugarcane firing. It's not the super one that I wanted to build from the SciCraft server, but it works for this server, and all that goes directly to composters. So we're starting our 4th farm over here. Let me get out of this view. I want to get back over here. We have now started building the first kelp farm over here. Now, One of the things that used to drive me crazy watching a specific YouTuber for Minecraft, I'm not going to say what server this person's on. I'm not going to say who this person is because I don't want to go negative about somebody. But every time they used to build projects on this server, watching them, they always missed things. They always forgot, never did their homework, never did on the wiki to understand how farms work before they went and go built it. And it would drive me nuts. And I finally unsubscribed and stopped watching it because every single live stream, every single episode was, oh, I didn't know this. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, I forgot to do that. And guys, do your due diligence. Learn. Ask questions about other players on the server before you go start doing builds and you start broadcasting that stuff on YouTube or live streaming. I understand you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to remember everything. I have to go back to my base all the time. But if you're building a squid farm, you have to know squid only spawn between y equals 46 and sea level, which is y and 62. You have to know they spawn in only certain biomes. So, do your due diligence, do your homework, be prepared. So right now we're building a kelp farm, and for the outside of this building, I've chosen a blend of kelp and stripped birch and sea lanterns. Now, I'm not quite sure about the sea lanterns. I may come back in here and cover those up with some type of trapdoor or one of the 6 trapdoors and see how they look. But at nighttime, I really like the look of this building. Now, we were going to do 2 of these in here. We're going to build the second one there. One here, it's going to have probably, I'm guessing about 8 layers by the time it's done. Now, I want to give you guys some of the backstory about what this entire build is, and I started alluding toward that a little bit in the last episode. This whole thing, this whole base, really some of the lore behind it, this is where I love. I do want to point out one of the hermits who I think do a phenomenal job. Actually, 2 of them on the Hermitcraft server. Good Time with Scar, phenomenal lore creating and building backstories and why things go. And CubFan135, to both of you guys, man, you guys are such inspirations for me and how you do some of these things. And I've started to adapt a little bit of that mindset. And so what this tower is, what this part of the base is that you see me function and work out of, this is a company. This is a huge company. This is one of those conglomerates that want to take over the world, guys. I don't have a name for this company yet, but we're working on it. It might be a Boomer Corp. I don't like that idea because I want to come up with something unique and creative. And if you've got an idea for me, if something that you think this company could be called, like on a Hermitcraft server, instead of IKEA, they use Idea. They've got Sahara. Okay, they've got some great ideas going. I want a unique name for my company here. But what they've done is they're imploring people. They've got a ton of minions working for them. They've got villagers who are going to be working for them. They've got players who are doing things. They're building automation. And they're dominating the world, and that's their goal. And so what they're doing is they're building farms to create jobs in this world. And they're going to be filled by people who live and work in this base and in this world. And ultimately, that's what we're doing. We've built these bridges to take out to other parts of the base, to other farms where people will be working. Right now, my son got hired by the corporation. He works as an AFKer for my Wither Skeleton farm. As a matter of fact, maybe we'll go out there and see how they're doing. But this is kind of the lore and some of the things that are going into this. And so this is kind of how I want to build this thing, is we are all working toward the goal of fulfilling the vision of the man. Oh my gosh, I thought that was a thing I was going to rile against for years. Well, on this server, on this Minecraft server, we are here to work for the man. And the man built the base, and the man built the warp, and the man did all these things. Meaning mankind. Anyways, so what we're doing is we're building a kelp farm today. We're going to continue to build some of the outside, and depending on how much time we have, I want to show you how the build's going to be. Real quick, if you wanted to see that sugarcane farm, this is the standard 1 block sugarcane on the first row, piston on the second row, observer on a third with a redstone torch or signal on the back. There's nothing fancy about it. It's that truly basic. But as a design, I've got a roof like elevator access on top, so if the employees ever need to get out in an emergency, they can go out on top, and there's a helipad on the very top where a helicopter could land and evacuate the employees. But this is a basic farm idea that I had, where I had a mushroom farm previously in the last server encased within a building like this. And we've simply brought the building over. The front side has a little bit different look. It's a little bit wider with the quartz, a little bit smaller with the concrete powder. Actually been turned into concrete. Where the other 3 sides, you can see the difference. It has the strip going all the way down. And then we've attached it to the circle coming in from this side. So if I were to go up here, and I've actually placed quartz block behind it to make it look like there's maybe another four-way or entryway that you have to go through just to get into it. Again, you can't get in there. The farm is completely packed up. There's like 4 columns all the way through from top to bottom where somebody could access as an emergency route. Now on the inside of this is going to be solid packed kelp farm all the way up to the wall, and actually it needs to be because of the water. It's got to be enclosed in certain areas. So the walls here are going to act as barriers for the kelp farm. We've given a nice little pattern on the inside. And again, we've talked about really quick this pattern that is on the outside of the building. So far, I'm going to take it up 3 layers like this. I might take it up a 4th, and I was going to do a second one over here. One was going to be for my for selling kelp blocks. I was actually going to use for farming kelp, smelting it, and turning into kelp blocks to sell at the shop. The other half was going to go towards the bone meal farms. Kelp grows at a pretty good rate. And if you've ever built any kind of massive amount of kelp farms, you know kelp can generate at an insane rate. Now, going back to my comment earlier about hermits not hermits, I'm sorry, but YouTubers, the one I unsubscribed from because they were never running their farms. I had one of those moments where I had actually checked myself because I'm thinking, okay, great, what grows fast enough to send a lot of supplies to the bone meal farm and reduces it, or turns it into bone meal at a pretty successful, quick rate? Well, when I looked at my initial plans for this base, I had a bamboo farm over there. So I started building the first layer of the bamboo farm. I had it all built up, had it going over to the bone meal farm, opened up a chest, and guess what was sitting in there, not going into the composters? You guessed it, bamboo. I had a boomer moment. I had a big boomer moment where I had to check myself and go, oh, are you an idiot? You had a big, mass, boomer-ass moment. And so I had to tear all the bamboo out, go back, crawl in there, and put in sugarcane. So I actually had to, okay, yeah, boomer, you need to take your own advice and go to the website and make sure composters accept bamboo, and of course, they don't. So I quickly checked myself, laughed myself up silly, and then, okay, said, you made a goof mistake. If you blame other people for it, now shut up and quit doing it, move on. And so my apologies to that YouTuber because I just pulled the same dumb thing. It happens. So we kind of forgive ourselves and we move on with this here. The nice thing about not having a chat window come up is that I don't have to see what's going on the server right moment. The bad news is I can't teleport up there. And so I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and break away for a little bit. And what we're going to do off camera, I'm simply going to build the 3 walls. I'm going to build the top of that wall and then build the side wall. And then we'll come back in here and build the farm because it's actually going to be built in 2 sections. And I've worked out how we can share all the parts of the farm together to actually build both parts, so I don't have to build the second wall up right away. So I have a way to still get back in here without having to set home at the top, fall back in every single time. That I'll actually be able to build up on either scaffold up or ladder up to where we need to go, set a home up there, whatever I got to do. And we can build, and I can show you the kelp farm. And I want to give credit to the original inspiration, and I think, and I apologize, I think it's Rayworks. I'll have to look it up. I want to make sure I give credit to the right YouTuber, and I'm almost positive I took inspiration from his design, and I just compacted it a little bit, changed it around a little bit. But I will confirm that it's Rayworks, and if I can, I will link his original video that I borrowed the inspiration from, because I think the guy does a very good job. I'm really impressed with how he does his videos. Not only that, but how he teaches you the hows and whys of it in a very short period of time, but doesn't sit there forever. I think he does some very good tutorials. And even if Rayworks wasn't the original one, I still do have a lot of respect for Rayworks. I think he does a nice job. So I will confirm who the original author is. We will give them credit again when I come back. And then I will also try to link his video in mine. So if you want to go check out the original one, like I said, I think he does very nice jobs, very great a job explaining videos and so on. So we'll be back in a little bit. So guys, we're back here real quick, and I wanted to show you, we've got the 3 walls done on the outside. So that gives us a framework to start building this farm in. Now I'm only going to be able to build the back half simply because of, oh well, that's my son up there, simply because this wall isn't in place. But what we'll do is we'll build the back half, build the fourth wall, then go in and build the other half. But I wanted to show you this kelp farm. Whoops. This is the standard block, piston, observer sugarcane farm. Works the exact same way with kelp. Now what we're doing, unfortunately right now, I've got a glitch here where the water stopped, and that's because I don't have ice down here. So I need to come in here and replace this stone with ice. But what the water source will do, as it shoots through here, whoops, I want to plant one, as I toss a few of these, the water source will pick it up and transport it. There we go, jump out of there. Oh, that's not where I wanted to go. And it's going to bring underneath into this hopper. This is one of our teleporting hoppers, so that's going to send it to a maintenance building we're going to put on the outside of this property, where I'm going to be able to go in and have that auto smelt down in the dried kelp, and then we'll craft it into kelp blocks, or we'll simply send it to the bone meal farm to be supplied for bone meals. So I'm going to go grab some ice real quick. I'm going to replace that out. We're going to do a time-lapse building the rest of this farm, and just so you can kind of see what we're going to do. So we'll see you here in a little bit. Alright guys, well we got the first half of this farm built. One of the things I wanted to explain in here that I didn't initially before we started building is this wall here of glass panes. Instead of using the trapdoors, or I'm sorry, the gates on this side, we're using instead glass panes. When the pistons kick the kelp over and it were to hit the water or fall through down the gates, it can actually bounce over to the other side. Now eventually it will rise back up into the water, come back down, but then it'll kick over to the other side. By actually hitting these glass panes, they simply fall right into the water channel, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. They won't go back and forth, and you do have to leave a block. Every fourth layer you have to leave an open block, because there's the glass block which creates the base for the next set of kelp. So nothing ever shoots through that. It's not, in a way, I haven't had any hang on there yet. And actually, in the time I've been building this, I had so much kelp come in here and stand around here, it's actually started to despawn, simply because of how productive it's been. And we only have half of one farm built. So I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to build the rest of this out, including the other wall. Come back in and build this up, and I'll come back and show you guys where we're at. We'll put a roof on this building, and we'll wrap up this episode in a little bit. So we'll see you as soon as this building is done. So guys, we are done building. We have this farm completely finished. You can see all the way up both sides. There are currently 6 layers of farms within this building, each layer containing 60 kelp plants, so we built 360. Right now the plan is to duplicate this building over there where you see the scaffolding. So we have 2 of these at this height at least to start with, and again, we want to build the farms to the first level, see if they're still keeping the server running healthy, FPS is good, then we'll expand even higher. Given how this is set up, we're probably just going to leave the roof open for now, just like we did with the melon and pumpkin farms. The sugarcane one, you can see we did put that roof access for the helipad on top of that up there. They just got to finish the construction of the helipad yet. The man still hasn't got it done yet, but that's coming. We'll put the helipad up there, and then we'll make the second building. So one of these, this one to start with, is going to be 100% driven to the bone meal farms. This is all being collected through the one hopper down there, and it gets transported over into this gazebo that we built. And everything's coming in through this chest, works down into the carbonado furnace, which smelt at 20 times speed and potentially up to 3 times drops. There's a percentage chance that you could get 3 for every one that's cooked. And the fuel, while the book on it says 10 times longer, burns well past that. You can see just how fast it cooked through a few smelter or through a few kelp. It was very quick. Look at that. And it just cooks those suckers off. They come down in this teleporting furnace, goes right over to the farm, gets added in the bone meal farm. The second building we build, we're going to have it keep the stuff out here to start with. We're going to gather maybe 7 or 8 shulkers worth of kelp blocks, and then we'll send those drops over to the smelting farm, the bone meal farm as well. And then over when we need kelp, we can divert one or both to the production of kelp block, and then simply change where that one furnace in the middle is sending the items back either to here or to the bone meal farm. So that'll be the next part of this area that's going to get built. We're going to let this one go for a little bit on its own. Couple of other things I want to start looking at down here. Oh, by the way, you can see we did finish the building completely, as I'm sure you're able to see it from above. So all 4 sides are completely done. I do want to look at getting more of the platforming done on the other side over here, I think it is, or it's over here, so that we can go out far enough to get that third layer, that third ring, coming from that pillar straight ahead. I want to see if we're far enough out to lay that pillar out and get the grass around it at least. And then I'm either going to start working on the third bridge, or I do want to showcase the new mushroom farm design that I came up with in the last map. Those will truly be towers that will go really high, more than likely 15 to 20 layers a piece for brown and for red mushrooms. And they do pretty well on their own. They're not the masses. I'm not going to do the mass one that El Mango's got one. I've got one very similar that I worked on. It came about the same time that he did his. They're both very productive, very quick in terms of growing mushrooms. However, the one that I'm going to put on here, while it's not necessarily meant for mass speed, it's the max capacity based on the size. But more importantly, it's the tower that it's going to create and the look of it that I'm going for. And that's what I want to showcase more than a mushroom farm. Again, I'm not worried about max efficiency, max capacities. I'm more worried about how does it look within the build? Does it match? Does it make sense? And are the farms at least being productive enough to have them? Is it worthwhile? And so with that, guys, I think we're going to wrap up today. We're going to call this an episode. I hope you enjoyed the time lapse in the video, and if so, feel free to tickle that like button. I'd love to know your feedback. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and don't forget, guys, turn on notifications so you know when a new video comes out. But as always, when we say it on grid, you gotta go boomer, you gotta go home. We'll see you later.